Greetings and welcome to the Spiritual Awareness Journey Programme, a virtual spiritual talk platform where the practical applications of all things spiritual in our daily living is shared and discussed by experienced speakers from all walks of life, with our special guests who are realised souls called Mahatmas. This spiritual talk is brought to you by the Manav Dharam YouTube channel. I am your host, Darshana Dodia, and we are very happy to welcome you all from all around the world to spend your precious time with us as we address episode's 12's topic of happiness. Our speakers, Sri Aradhya Mataji, Mahatma Suvidya Bhaiji, and Ms. Toshi Darode, are delighted to explore and share with us their insights and understanding of this innate quest, the pursuit of happiness. Why is it that most of us think that it to be the purpose of our life? We invest so much energy and time hoping and wishing to achieve this state. We are daily and constantly bombarded by the media with advertisements of products to purchase, activities to partake in, or places to visit, all with their latest upgrades. It even drives the economy, all with the promise that it will bring us the ultimate happiness. But does it? We endure many challenges and even hardships, all for that fleeting moment of this promised happy state. It is such an intriguing concept that has caught the attention of Dr. Laurie Santos at Yale University in the USA, who started a happiness curriculum at the university. And it was so successful that other colleges have since incorporated this as a study. So what is it that we are truly looking or seeking for? Most of us are unaware of who it is that is seeking and what it is that it is really seeking. We humans, as the spiritual beings embodied in this human existence, are actually seeking the pursuit of our own conscious state that will bring us contentment. We, by receiving spiritual knowledge, can practice the spiritual meditation and commune with this divine essence within, our original spiritual source, with the potential to attain the highest state of consciousness. And we, through this conscious state, a state of pure presence, can experience this true happiness known as bliss. We hope this program will inspire you to seek this higher state of awareness, and it will inspire you to inquire about this spiritual knowledge. to so become conscious of that spiritual being residing within, and by forging a relationship with our own true self, start our own practical spiritual awareness journey, consciously expanding our spiritual potentials, journeying together as the one race, the human race, to attain our true goal, a spiritual enlightened world where peace, joy, bliss, and true happiness will reign. The spiritual journey, awareness journey, is now delighted to introduce to you our first speaker of the day, Ms. Toshi Darode. Ms. Toshi is presently working as a lead cloud consultant in one of the multinational companies. She has around 10 years experience working in emerging cloud technologies. Apart from this, she loves to interact with people, talking about life, nature, and deep spiritual experiences. Here now, Ms. Toshi.
Lovely. Thank you, Darshana. Thank you so much for a lovely introduction. And welcome to all the joiners, all the happy faces that are joining today on this very program of spiritual awareness journey. And, we all joining for a session on happiness that is itself says that we all are seeking for happiness. And I believe the one who seek for happiness truly receives happiness in their life, and the one who truly receives happiness are the one who are willing to spread happiness around them. And it is one of the very important component in the current times. So I really thank each of you for joining this session today on knowing the spiritual aspect of happiness, knowing the true happiness, which is also called bliss. you know so while I was doing this, while I was doing my research, and I was like doing some research on happiness on this topic, I have come across some definition by some great scholars. So I'll put some definitions in front of you. So first, Plato. Plato says that happiness is the highest aim of morale, values, and conducts. Whereas Aristotle, the great scholar Aristotle, says that happiness consists in achieving through whole life. But achievement of what? He says that achievement of health, wealth, knowledge, and friends is a true happiness. Moving to the next scholar, Socrates, because one of my favorite scholar is Socrates. He defined happiness like happiness flow not from physical or external condition. My friends, very important thing, that it is not some emotion that flows from physical or external condition, but from living a life that writes you from your soul and for your best deeds. No. So while I was going through all this definition, the very question that struck me was, what is my definition of happiness? What is happiness to me? And while I was finding my definition, I was tracing my life. What I found that the definition of happiness was different to me at different stages of life. While I was child, I think it was to everyone, mother's lap was the biggest happiness. And that one special toy was the best thing in the world. And that was the happiest corner, that one special toy. I'm sure it is with everyone. So that was the definition of happiness when I was child. Then when I started like growing up and when I did my schooling, I think happiness was summer vacation. We all used to wait eagerly for vacation, and to spend more time with family and to have all the fun and laughter in house. So summer vacation was again happiness to us. Then gradually when we did our education and we become profession, so when I perceived my profession, so I think the definition of happiness just changed. It just changed to good companies, good technologies, good salary, I would say. No. And and many such things. So over the time, I have found that the definition of happiness was changing, you know. But there was a time when I realized that why I am not always happy, you know, why this state of happiness is not constant, why my happiness is always followed by sadness, or I would say, some worries, why sadness or pain becomes the intermediate part of my happiness. So this question started raising voice inside me. And there was a time when I started finding what is a true happiness. And while I was listening to a spiritual discourse of Sri Vibhuji Maharaj, where he was beautifully explaining that anything or everything that you get attracted to or that gives you happiness, whether it be moments, whether it be some situation or could be some people, anything that gives you happiness is dependent on time. All these things we get happiness from is dependent on time. And because time itself is not constant, time is constantly changing, and that is why our situations, our people, the moments keeps changing. And so the source of happiness, so these things which become your source of happiness keeps changing with the time. And when these things changed with when these things changes with the time, what happen is we become sad, because we don't accept the other side of the coin, and our happiness goes away, our happiness fades away. So after listening to this, I really become very conscious about what is my source of happiness, what are my sources of happiness. And I truly feel like this is a very primary question one should be asking to themselves, like what are their sources of happiness. So it just recalled me a very good story. So there was a young guy. uh, he wanted to learn dholak. So dholak is one drum which is flattened from both the end, and it is one of the musical drum, one musical instrument. It's called dholak. So the young boy wished to learn dholak one day. So he just went to his musical teacher and he requested his teacher that, oh teacher, I want to learn this musical instrument. I want to learn how to play it. And the teacher was little busy, he was doing something. So he said that, fine, it's okay, I'll teach you how to play the dholak. But meanwhile, just do one thing. You'll have to hang this dholak around your neck. So there is a very widened rope attached on both the end of that musical instrument dholak. So that has to be hang around your neck. So the teacher told that, please hang this dholak around your neck. I'll be back in some times and I'll teach you. I'll start giving you instructions. So the guy was very happy. He just took the dholak and he hung the rope around his neck, and he was waiting there. And after a few minutes, what he realized that the dholak is too heavy, and it is already creating stress on my neck, and then the questions, like the queries and the question begins in his head. He started asking, the mind started asking himself that if this dholak itself is so heavy, and before I've started learning it, this is creating so much of stress around my neck, how would I be able to concentrate and learn playing this? How would I be able to concentrate and rhythm, make synchronization with the rhythm? How would I be able to make sync with the beats? So all these worries started popping in his mind. So very soon his teacher, his musical teacher, came back, and he asked him that, okay, are we good to start? So he started complaining. He started complaining that I was really willing about learning this instrument, but honestly telling you, this is too much of a stress. This is too much of a stress before even I start this. It's creating stress around my neck. How will I rhythm this out? How will I synchronize this beat with all? And the teacher said, please wait. The teacher said, please wait. And he said that please wait and focus on the present moment. Just focus on the present moment and keep following my instructions. And once you will start following my instruction, you will start learning how to play dholak. And once you will start learning how to play it, you will start enjoying it. And this instrument, which is a stress for you now, which is so much unbearable for you now, will turn into a beautiful instrument, which will give you joy, which will give you, which will help you enjoying and play and all that, and it will be turned into art of playing. It will turn into a beautiful experience. So the boy understand. But while I was reading this story, I just thought that isn't it something we are doing with life? Isn't it the same thing we are doing with life? Even before we go and learn the art of living, the very thing we all are doing with life is just complaining. And so many complaints. My friends, even I am like that. So many complaints from this life, that why this, why not this situation, why that person has not become this, why God has not, and the last person to blame is definitely God, because it's easier, always. So why God has not turned the situation out for me? And the most common thing that I always heard is why pain is the biggest part of my life, why everybody around me is happy and not me, and these things keep popping us. So the spiritual master comes, and spirituality truly teaches us to be present, to be focused in the present moment, and the more we will be attentive, the more we will be available, more we will be focused in our present moment, more beautifully we would be able to balance the things out. And when we say balance, there is so much of stress, there is so much of failure, so much of success, so many things to be balanced in this life. But it has to start from focusing on your present moment. And the more you will focus on present moment, life will get more balanced. And more balance we will attain in our life, we'll be more happy. No? So with this, there is a very beautiful saying in Sanskrit. So it's in Sanskrit. It says that happiness is merely a acceptance. And I simply love this line. Happiness is merely acceptance. I feel like most of the pain and most of the sadness in our life is because we are not acceptable on, we are not ready to accept. We are not accepting what this beautiful nature is given us. We are not acceptable towards what people around are giving us, because we have a mere imagination of life. We have a mere imagination of no of nature. We have a mere imagination of so everything, that we just forget about this very quality of acceptance. So in Sanskrit, it's been said, the more you become acceptance, the more you become acceptable, the more you will accept the people around you, more you will accept the nature around you, more you will accept what spiritual master tells you, life will be more smoother, life will be more happier. It is one of the key to become happy. With this, you know, with this, spirituality really helps you to identify that what are the key elements, what are the key items to be, what are the key things to be happy in life, and it is prior to that, I would say it is more important to identify the source of happiness. I think like I've made everybody very serious about happiness, but this is about knowing that that we truly getting very serious about happiness, but we don't know that it's merely letting yourself go into the situation, letting yourself go with the nature, letting yourself go with what life is giving you, and I truly believe that nature has its own beauty of giving a message. And hence I feel like this whole pandemic situation has really taught us how to be more happy. Because honestly, after second wave, after the second wave of COVID in India, the happiest thing about somebody was when if you call somebody and if he answered from the other side of the phone, so you will be happy knowing that okay, the person is alive. So the nature is teaching us so much, life is teaching us so much. So it's primary responsibility to be happy, to spread happiness, and to just enjoy your life. So thank you so much. I request everyone to please identify your source of happiness and work on that. And spirituality gives you an insight to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Titoshi, for your inspiring words and your personal experiences. So yes, thank you, Toshi. That was a really good insight into your personal experiences, and I really liked your, how you described the definitions of happiness change, as life goes on. I can really relate to that. And it's true, maybe we should be more serious about happiness and finding that happiness, and that comes from, as you say, accepting happiness into our lives, being present, and finding that balance. So thank you so much, Toshiji, for your beautiful words. So now it is a great honor to be present, to be able to present to you our guest speaker of the day, our special guest, Mata Sri Aradhyaji. Mata Sri Aradhyaji is the living embodiment of love and compassion. Mata Sri Aradhyaji has been spreading spiritual awareness in the world for almost a decade now, with a master's in English from the picturesque city of Shimla in the Himalayan state of Himachal Pradesh in India. Sri Aradhya Mataji has always been inclined towards righteousness and humanitarian actions. She strives hard to reach out to people across the world by traveling far and wide in India and abroad. Over the last year, due to the prevailing pandemic, she has also connected with them through social media platforms. Sri Mataji's messages are simple and touch the hearts of many. She encourages each and every individual to recognize their own potential through the power of spirituality and by connecting with the life force within us. So without further delay, we would like to welcome to this platform Mata Sri Aradhyaji.
Thank you so much, Darshanaji, for the wonderful introduction. Dear Premis, respected Mahatma Ji and Baiji, and everyone who is watching the program. Firstly, I would like to wish everyone a very happy Guru Purnima. Few days back, we celebrated Guru Purnima. Guru is the one who, from whom we seek blessings. Guru is the true dispeller of darkness. Guru is the one who imparts us spiritual knowledge. Today's spiritual awareness journey program is about happiness, and I'm going to share my views on happiness. Happiness is something which comes from within. The most valuable treasure that we have is, I think, already inside us, but we are searching it outside. We cannot find happiness in materialistic things. We can find happiness only when we connect ourselves to our own self. We meet innumerable people, from all over the world, whether they are big, small, educated or not. What is that one thing which everyone is looking for? Everyone is looking for that joy, that pure bliss. We are social creatures and we want ourselves to be surrounded with, goodness. But how is it possible? It is possible only when we exchange our happiness. We have to share that warm heart. We have to share and we have to exchange our happiness with others. Now, I want to tell you, like, how we can become happy. So we can become happy when we are satisfied with our lives, whether it's work, whether it's a relationship, whether it's achievements. We have to be satisfied with our life. We have to balance our life, which is very, very important in today's world, because we have both positive emotions also and we have negative emotions also. So we have to balance the emotions in our life. Kindness, love, compassion is very important to be happy, purity of mind, inner discipline, inner quality is very, very essential to be happy. And purity of mind is very, very important. And confluence, I think confluence of all these things can make a person happy. And when we understand the universal truth of life, when we can understand the human goal of life, why we are here and what is our goal of life, then we can be happy. We have to understand the primordial vibration. We have to understand, and we are seekers, so we have to know ourselves from inside, which is through which, primordial vibration, like I said, which is very important. Om is the primordial vibration, and it is the source of all the vibrations. And it is the original vibration of the universe. From this vibration, all the vibrations manifest, and it is the vibration of existence. So it is very, very important that we chant Om and we meditate. It is very important to meditate, and it is very important to, balance our life also. And as you all know, during this pandemic, our Mahatma Jis and Bai Jis, they have put so much of effort, they have put so much of hard work, Premis also, I keep seeing the videos. They have put up so much of efforts, and helping needy and people who are in need. So I would like to send my best wishes and my good wishes to everyone. And tomorrow the global international quiz competition is also going to start. I would like to congratulate, and I would like to send my best wishes to all the participants who have joined global international quiz competition. And I want them to experience the joy of knowledge and experience the knowledge that the Guru Maharaj Ji has given us. And last but not the least, I want to wish everyone, I want to say that just be happy in life, and have a positive outlook in life. The more overthink, the more you will overthink, the more you will not meditate, or you will not listen to satsang. So life will be little hassle. We will not be happy. So to be happy, we have to do meditation. And this is all I want to say. Blessings to all.
Thank you so much to Sri Aradhya Mataji for inspirational message. And I'm sure everyone here today has been able to take away something from what you have so kindly shared. I truly liked how you gave importance to the exchange of happiness, so not keeping it for ourselves. I think that's really key in this day and age, and the need to balance our emotions. So we are truly honoured and grateful for your presence here today. Thank you, Sri Aradhya Mataji. Our next presentation gives us great joy, as we are excited to bring you the happy voices of the children's choir from Kalimpong in India, with a song titled Happiness, song and lyrics by Audrey Fowler. Please enjoy this performance by Kalimpong's Children's Choir. Thank you so much to the Children's Choir from Kalimpong for that heartwarming presentation with some beautiful lyrics and vocals. As we are approaching the end of our programme, we now wish to present to you our last guest speaker of today, Mahatma Suvidyabhaiji. Mahatma Suvidyabhaiji is an enlightened saint from Haridwar in India. She is a disciple of spiritual master Sri Satpalji Maharaj, the spiritual head of Manav Dharm organization. She has successfully provided spiritual enlightenment over the past 2 decades in various parts of India, Kenya, South Africa, Canada, and Australia. Her mission is to uplift the soul of man by rendering spiritual discourses on the essence of all scriptures and teaching meditation and yoga to aspirants. It is a great honor to be in the presence of Mahatma Suvidyabhaiji today, as Baiji will share with us her deep understanding and personal experiences of this topic, happiness. Here now, Mahatma Suvidyabhaiji.
Greetings to one and all. My humble greetings to revered Aradhya Mataji. We are truly blessed with the divine words of inspiration. Once the signboard on one of the shop window really caught my eyes. Happiness sold here. Then the next line was, sorry, now it is out of stock. Really wish everyone can buy happiness. No one will be unhappy in the world. So thing is, can we buy or sell happiness? And is it available in abundance, or is there any scarcity of happiness in the world? Let's dive in the topic happiness. Happiness is embedded in human nature. The pursuit of happiness has been the foremost goals of humanity from the time immemorial. Happiness is a sense of well-being, joy, or contentment, whereas someone defined the happiness differently. Happiness is the feeling that comes over you when you know life is good and you can't help but smile. It's the opposite of sadness. What do I need to do, be, or have to be happy is the perennial question asked by all of us at some time and other. On the basis of a scientific theory, happiness is when your life fulfills your needs. There are 9 universal and overlapping human essential needs. These are well-being, environment, pleasure, relationship, outlook, meaning, involvement, success, and elasticity. Now let's understand happiness through spiritual perspective. According to scriptures, there are 3 types of happiness. First happiness is a physical happiness, which arises from comfort of life and bodily pleasures. Second is a mental happiness, which arises from sense of fulfillment and freedom from worries, afflictions, and anxieties. Third happiness is a spiritual happiness, which arises from the union with the self and free from the cycle of births and deaths. Happiness is also categorized on the basis of 3 gunas. Just as everything in creation is based on 3 gunas, happiness is also influenced by our predominance nature. According to the predominance of the gunas, we can identify 3 types of happiness. Sattvic happiness, which arises from moral and mental purity, and from being good and doing good. This is also corresponded to spiritual happiness. Second one is a Rajasic happiness, which arises from fulfilling your desires and securing power, position, name and fame, etc. This is corresponded to mental happiness. Third is a Tamasic happiness, which arises from bodily pleasures and base desires. This corresponds to physical happiness. There are 4 levels of happiness. Sanskrit has given 4 words for happiness. This is a Sukha, Santosh, Mudita and Ananda, each of which points to a different level of happiness. And together they lead us to the kind of happiness that really cannot be shaken. First is a Sukha, fleeting pleasure. The kind of happiness that comes from pleasant experiences is called Sukha, fleeting pleasure. It means comfort, enjoyment, or pleasure. Sukha is a happiness we feel when we are firmly inside our comfort zone. In the morning, you wake up, watch sunrise, feel well, spontaneously happy. This happiness, what we commonly refer, is related to external world. Whatever makes us happy in outer world has the potential to make us unhappy. We experience the external happiness through 5 senses, the mind and the intellect. 5 senses. So this pleasure gained through the experience of touch, taste, sound, smell or sight. Say for example, a person who loves ice cream. Whenever he eats the first ice cream, always tastes the best. As he keeps having more and more, the pleasure that he gained from the first begins to wane. By the 7th or 8th time, we'll feel very uncomfortable. This we can relate to any object of life. The second thing through we experience external happiness is the mind. Thoughts and emotions are interwoven. Unhappy thoughts leads us to unhappy emotions and vice versa. We experience external happiness through intellect also. It allows us to experience a different kind of pleasure that is qualitatively and quantitatively superior to the happiness gained through the mind. Say, for example, a scientist had a great discovery. He is elated, but he plunged into despair when he finds his discovery has been used for the destruction of mankind. This state of happiness is unreliable or temporary and can disappear in eye blink. When our well-being depends on external duality conditions, it always come and go. There was a boy whose family was very wealthy. One day his father took him to a trip to the country where he aimed to show his son how poor people live. So they arrived to a farm of a very poor family as how considered. They spent few days. On their return, the father asked his son, "Did he like the trip?" "Oh, it was great, Dad," the boy replied. "Did you notice how poor and unhappy people live?" "Yea, I did," said the boy. The father asked his son to tell in more details about his impressions from their trip. "Well, we have only one dog and they have 4 of them. In our garden, there is a pool, while they have a river that has no end. We have got expensive lanterns, but they have stars above their heads at night. We have the patio, and they have the whole horizon. We have a small piece of land, while they have the endless fields. We buy food, but they grow it. We have a high fence for protection of our property, and they don't need it as their friends protect them. The father was stunned. Then the boy did, "Thank you, Dad, for letting me see how poor we are." True wealth as well as the happiness is not measured by material things. We naturally assume that the source of our happiness lies in the situation, experience, or object that appears to have made us happy. And so we keep trying to gain those objects and replicate those situations that seems to produce this effect. Second level of happiness is santosh. Santosh means contentment. It's an antidote to the endless chase after the mirage of permanent pleasure. Contentment is the fastest way to still the agitation that comes from frustration, discomfort, and unsatisfied desire. Contentment is the absence of desire for anything other than what we need. The idea of being okay with what you have, accepting what you are without feeling that you need anything extra to make you happy. We can achieve real contentment only when we are willing to give up striving for what is out of our reach, to stop expecting more of life than it can give us. Third level of happiness is mudita. Mudita means spiritual happiness. Practicing contentment calms the mind. And when the mind is calm, there is a good chance that a spiritual happiness will begin to sneak through. Spiritual happiness is an antidote to jealousy. Mudita is an abundance mindset. The cultivation of joy on seeing others happy, and through it, the taint of jealousy ceases. Its function resides in being free from envy, to rejoice in the happiness with other person has. Mudita in its purest form is the joy that kind that comes from out of nowhere, like a message from our deeper self. Spiritual happiness can become a powerful bridge into subtler state of awareness with the meditation practice. The fourth and the highest level of happiness is Ananda. Ananda means bliss or eternal happiness. Ananda is a ecstasy, rapture of joy that wells up on its own from the very depth of the universe and connects us instantly to the vastness of pure being. Bliss is a divine power in the form of happiness. In Upanishad, the formula for eternal happiness has given thus far. Eko vasi sarva bhutantar atma, ekam rupam bahdaya karoti. Tamastam ye anupashanti, dhirestam sukham sashvatam netaresham. The Supreme Being, who is a soul, one, and the controller, the internal Atma of all living things, who makes his own form diverse to the intelligent, and one who realizes him as such seated in the self. Eternal bliss is theirs, not others. So, the Supreme Brahman, who is Supreme Energy, who is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, also seated within ourselves. And one who realizes it can only experience eternal bliss. The very nature of a supreme self in the macrocosm and the individual soul in a microcosm is Sat Chit Anand. Sat means eternal, Chit means consciousness, and Anand means eternal bliss. In order to attain eternal bliss, one has to connect with the soul within. That's why Lord Krishna proclaimed self-realization knowledge or Atma-Jnana as a sovereign knowledge. True seekers of eternal happiness always seek for a spiritual master who imparts the spiritual insight. Spiritual master imparts self-realization knowledge which work like a mirror. In that mirror, our true self, soul, can be seen and experienced. When one will realize the soul and connect with the soul, then and then only one can experience the eternal bliss, which is most superlative quality of happiness, and it lasts indefinitely. Great masters from time immemorial advise mankind to go within in search of happiness. Socrates says, man, know thyself. Sant Kabir Das Ji says, just as the fragrance of a flower lies within, so also is the essence of human happiness inside the man. Yet he acts like the musk deer searching for the musk in the grass where the aroma from the musk within it has spread. Self-realization brings awareness and wisdom that the entire sea is inside us, but we're looking for water outside. All types of happiness that arises from fulfilling desires and likes and dislikes are binding and have consequences. Eternal happiness is a freedom from the compulsion to be happy, dualities and conditionality. It arises in one as a reflection of the soul in the pure consciousness. When we connect with our soul's essential nature, which is eternal bliss, we become free from all attachments and free from the impurity of Maya and desire. We realize that true happiness is not having things or fulfilling the desire, but by restraining our minds and bodies and becoming free from our dependence upon them. Self-realization helps us in overcoming desires, cultivating detachment, not becoming excessively involved with the worldly life, stabilizing the mind, cultivating discussion, overcoming ignorance, meeting our obligations, becoming absorbed in the self. So by overcoming these obstacles, we can reach to the eternal state of happiness in life. When we recognize our true self as ever present, limitless, and perfect, then we no longer need to project our well-being onto objects and experiences. I would like to summarize the speech with one sentence. Is the search of happiness begins from within and ends within ourselves. I would like to conclude my speech with the Rumi's quote. When you do things from your soul, you feel a river of joy, bliss moving within you. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much to Mahatma Suvidya Bhaiji for that beautiful insight into the topic of happiness. The way you broke down and explained those 4 different levels of happiness, I think it was really thought-provoking for me, and I'm sure many people here will agree. It's easy to get caught up in achieving these fleeting moments of pleasure. As you described, these don't last. And so for that lasting happiness, that eternal bliss, this can be obtained by realizing and connecting with that divine energy within us all. I really like that touching story about the father and son, which you so beautifully explained, that the true wealth is not measured by material things. Thank you once again, Mahatma Suvidya Bhaiji. So I wish to thank each and every one of you for your presence here today on this Spiritual Talk platform. I hope today's episode has inspired you to seek that inner joy, that contentment that has the potential to grant us constant happiness in our lives. Please feel free to drop us a note with your comments. And if you have any questions or wish to contact any of our speakers, please email us at spiritualawarenessjourney@gmail.com. The email address is now in the chat box. Please feel free to ask us any questions, and we'll ensure to address these in our next episode of the Spiritual Awareness Journey program, which will be held on the 14th of August. The episode 13 topic will be surrender. Wishing you all a wonderful weekend. We are grateful to you all for joining us today. Thank you to all our speakers for their inspirational presentations. A big thank you to our sponsor, Manav Dharam YouTube channel. I am your host, Darshana Dodia, and from all of us here on the Spiritual Awareness Journey, best wishes for a healthy and peaceful journey. See you in our next episode.